Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fate.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
Give it to you.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you know, a big DJ Khaled guy.
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Tasker.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
They have no swag. They have no nothing.
Terrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
Hello and welcome to the Monday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Terrence Oglesby. I have Doug Gottlieb here with me. We are live on Sirius XM Channel 84. That is College Sports Radio. We're streaming over in the Stadium app. Make sure you download that. Hang out with us. Ask us some questions. And we are live on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. We'll be here for the next hour hanging out with you guys. We have a lot to get to. Kansas is going to be without their two All-Americans for at least the Big 12 tournament, and we need to talk about that just a little bit. I'm going to let these guys tear my All-American teams to shreds and tell me how dumb I was putting them together. And we also have Overreaction Monday, and I can't think of a better pair of guys to sit here and tell me my overreactions are complete and total overreactions than Terrence Oglesby and Doug Gottlieb. But before we do all of that, we have two more teams that are officially in the NCAA tournament. We're going to start with James Madison. The Dukes punched their ticket by beating Arkansas State in the Sun Belt Conference Tournament title game, 31-3, and they don't have to sweat out getting an at-large bid like Indiana State is going to have to do on Selection Sunday. That means that Mark Byington, who we're going to hear from in about a couple minutes, he's going to be able to relax. He's not going to have to stress about who his next opponent's going to be. He's got 6 days here where he can just kind of maybe go swimming in the ocean, Doug. That's what he told us he's going to do. What do you make of the Dukes punching their ticket?
Start with me?
Yeah, I'm starting with you. You're Doug, right?
It's finally living up. It's living up to that preseason stuff, right? Obviously, you catch a little bit of a break with Ark State, who wasn't the number 2 seed. Should we point out though that Ark State played them close at JMU last time they played together. I think it was a 4-point game. Tonight, not competitive. And this is big. I think their seeding is going to be really interesting. And, look, you win 31 games. I honestly, again, I know low major basketball, maybe not the same, but if you're low major and you win 31 games, that means you've won some bye games, which, of course, they want a bye game. But you win 31 games, that's a good basketball team. I do not want to play James Madison in the tournament. Just don't. And now that they're confident and they'll be rested, it's a dangerous basketball team, one that was ranked. And I think we probably you talk about the Overreaction Monday, we probably overreacted taking them out of the rankings because they lost a couple of games. Really good basketball team. The seeding is going to be interesting. And there'll be somebody that if they're on the 12-5 line, right, there's a 12 that a lot of people are going to pick. Because we've all, T.O. and I, we've been on basketball teams, I know, and you've watched enough and done enough yourself to know that there's something about teams that win. They just figure out a way to win. And they score a lot too. This is not somebody that gets blood out of a rock that they're going to sit there and they got to play in the 50s to beat you. They remind me in some ways of Furman that way, and really efficient, well-coached offensive basketball. Furman last year, you know how they beat Virginia? So not a team I want in my bracket if I'm a team that struggled and won 120 and lost 14. Because when you've won 31 games, every time you tip it up, you think you're going to win, and you have 31 out of 34 instances to prove that you're right. I was really impressed by them today.
Yeah, and Arkansas State had played a lot better towards the back half of their Sun Belt schedule. I was able to do a game, and they have dudes. And I'm not even – Brian Hodson got a bunch of guys, transfers in. Taryn Todd's good. Freddie Hicks III has been good. But I'm telling you, there's a couple of guys on that team, notably a guy named Isaiah Nelson, who is a game-changing 5-man as far as blocks are concerned, and they obliterated them. And this Arkansas State team, while they were 7th in the league, I think they were better than that the back half of the conference play. And for James Madison to do this, I think it says a lot about them. And the manner in which they did it was even bigger. They started out the season beating Michigan State, and they haven't slowed down since. They got Bickerstaff. They've got all these guys that fit what Byington loves to do. And then on top of that, you look at JMU's a sleeper job. The funding's good. The front, I'm so used to NBA stuff now. I'm saying front office, but the administration at JMU is really like excited about sports and putting funding in that direction. Sleeper gig, and I agree with Doug here. 12-5. That's going to be one that a lot of people pick, and the fact that they've already done it against power conference competition earlier this season is only going to give them confidence heading into the tournament as well. It's a team that can really play.
Have you guys been to their arena? Have you been to their new arena?
I have not.
Big time.
The money is there. The money is there. Yeah. And keep in mind too, like top 50 in the country in 3-point percentage, top 50 in the country in 2-point percentage. They understand how to score. And Byington's a good defensive coach as well. Top 75, top 80 in the country. But at that level, with that level of guy, as far as size is concerned, that's saying a lot. JMU, I wouldn't want to see them, point blank period, if I were a Power 5 team or a Power 6 team.
Yep. We were able to catch up with JMU head coach Mark Byington. It was a nice little full circle moment for the Field of 68. We talked to him after the season opening win at Michigan State, and now we talked to him after beating Arkansas State and getting into the NCAA tournament. And now let me welcome onto the Field of 68 after dark, James Madison head coach Mark Byington, fresh off of winning the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship. Your first in, I believe it's 11 seasons as a head coach. Mark, how's it feel, man?
Yeah, I mean, it really hasn't synced in yet. I mean, I know everybody says that. I feel like I got to go back and watch film for the opponent tomorrow, but the first thoughts in my head is that these guys are incredible. The guys I coach. I mean, from the first game this year, you beat Michigan State. The pressure we felt the entire year to get 31 wins. And it's been a fun group. I mean, we came into this tournament with a mission, and those guys played that way.
We spoke after you guys beat Michigan State in the Breslin Center on the first night of the regular season, and we're talking now after you won the conference tournament. It's been a hell of a run for you. In between, you won 29 games, you lost 3, but you found yourself in a position to be able to earn this bid. What does it show about your team?
Yeah, I mean, like we've had pressure the entire year, and our guys don't know any better. And, that's one of the things I think helped us in a tournament like this. I mean, we're sitting there going into a championship game with 30 wins, and we're still got to win or we're not going to the NCAA tournament. And, they knew it. I knew it. They're probably going to be left out if we don't get the win. And they were just, like I said, I mean, I saw them in film today with scouting reports and things like that. They were so locked in. Regardless of who we played today, we were going to win. I mean, they were that good today.
I'm not a coach. I know a little bit about basketball, but I think it was really smart of you to run the Xavier Brown doesn't miss offense tonight. You think you're going to do that in the NCAA tournament too?
Yeah, he was in the zone. I mean, like when guys get like that, I get out of the way. And I almost want to sit down and get some popcorn myself. And I just called a couple things, kind of put the ball in his hands. But he was incredible. And both my young guys were. I mean, after he got finished, then my big freshman, Jalen Carey, got hot. And I was like, that's a freshman and sophomore on a big stage playing great.
Yeah, so you guys were 31-3, and there were people that would say that you probably needed the automatic bid to get in the tournament. Does it feel good to kind of get that pressure off so you don't have to sweat out the next week and a half before Selection Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to worry about any of the craziness. And, I think it would have been – we'd have got left out. And all the things we've done, winning 30 games before this, and most road wins in the country, and all the things we've done well, we would have been left out because that's the way the system is right now. But now we don't have to worry about it. We'll sit there on Sunday, relax, and find our next destination.
So you mentioned it earlier. You don't have to watch any film tonight. There's no film to watch. There's no opponent tomorrow. There's no game coming up. You don't know who you play next. What are you going to do tonight, man? What are we doing? Are we throwing on Netflix? Are we watching a movie? You're going to open up a nice bottle of wine? What's on the docket?
Yeah, well, I told you after Michigan State I'm not drinking, but maybe I'll break one in tonight. And we got a big ocean right behind the hotel, so I might find my way there.
Yeah, there you go. Please listen, get a video. If you're going swimming tonight, we need a video of it.
Hey, no videos. I gotta keep my job.
Listen, Mark, congratulations on the win, man. Best of luck in the tournament. You guys are going to end up in like that 12 seed, 11 seed line. You're going to be a problem for someone. Looking forward to seeing you try to make a run in the big dance.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Thanks, Rob.
That was JMU head coach Mark Byington, who very clearly is going to be celebrating a win in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I want to hit the SoCon here before we move on. Samford, Bucky Ball, Doug. Bucky McMillan 4 years ago was a high school head coach in Birmingham, and today he is taking a university in Birmingham, Samford, to the NCAA tournament. He's a fun team to watch, man. He's got a fun team to put on TV and see play.
Totally agree. Like, look, ball is ball. And the great thing about that level is it can still be about coaching. And don't get me wrong, once we get to, in these conference tournaments and in the NCAA tournament, it is in many ways about coaching. It's the rest of the time in college basketball, and Tio can speak to this even more so from his time on staffs, is a lot of it isn't as much about coaching. So I think you credit, obviously, Samford for having the vision, and like the guy knows what he's doing. I make the case that high school basketball, AU basketball, like you coach it, AU basketball is a little bit more like speed dating, because your roster changes so much and everything can change. But high school basketball, you have the pressure situations, you still have to execute. Maybe it depends on state in terms of shot clock, but it definitely prepares you. So I'm not surprised, right? The hardest thing in ascending to the college level, especially Division I college level, is acquisition of players. How you recruit, who you recruit, where do you recruit from. But in terms of the actual coaching, guys knows what he's doing, and his teams are very fundamentally sound. Another team, don't really want to play him in the March, right? Because they've been good tip to finish. The teams I think you want to play are teams that, have had uneven seasons. But Samford's been good. Not a surprise. East Tennessee was a surprise that they were here. And the game was really pretty competitive. But I think Bucky's pretty good. I think he's got a good team that they're able to establish and create not just culture, but a style that's unique. And they know who they are heading into these games. A lot of college teams struggle to find an identity because it changes throughout the year. Perfect example, like today we had on, and it was on Stadium with Goodman and Gottlieb. Jeff and I had Leon Rice on. And I was asking Leon, like, if I threw on your tape in November and I threw on your tape now, how similar will they look? And he's like, completely different team. I would tell you that Bucky's team looks similar. Maybe not the same. They've evolved some roles have changed some, but that's the difference with this level and without the kind of turnstile that some of the high major programs have.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing is, too, retention at that level is so important because a guy has a good year and he's gone. But, like, he's been able to hang on to Jermaine Marshall. He was able to hang on to A.J. Staten McCray. And those guys have been there for a while, so they understand the expectations. And they added a guy in a core who's really freaking good. Over the last two games, I want to say he was averaging 26, 27 points a game, 4 offensive boards today. And you asked the question, Rob, can Samford is this style of play conducive to winning in the NCAA tournament? Maybe. They're going to be small. They're going to have to extend that game out and cause turnovers. Well, the good part is they're top 15 in the country in causing turnovers. Live ball turnovers is where they're really good, and they get those too on top of the fact that whenever they're turning you over, they look for threes. They shoot 39.7% from three. This Samford team's good. I talked to Bucky right when he took the job at Samford because that, quite frankly, I want to say it's 3-4 years ago, right when I started doing media stuff, and I was doing a game with them in Furman, and he was piecing rosters together, and I was like, what is it about Samford that made you leave a great high school gig? And he was coaching NBA players. Trent Watford was on his teams. Like, he was sending tons of guys to college. It was a great gig. And he's like, well, Samford, I feel like I can win here. I feel like the support and the administration wants to win. And quite frankly, he said, I feel like we're at the top of the league as far as facilities are concerned. So I'm looking at all these things, and I'm going to be able to add pieces periodically. And they got a star in a core. That guy was really good over the last two games. And quite frankly, guys, he's been really good over the course of the entire season. And he had a block today that was up near the corner of the square that they had to go back and review. A big-time block, and whenever you're pressuring that much, to have a guy in the back that's able to protect the rim in that manner, pretty impressive.
Yeah, they call that Rob
Dauster. In terms of how they, Is that what that is? That's what that is?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Didn't know that.
Top of the square. That's me.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. Like, okay, so right now, you would think, hey, teams have a long time to prep for them.
Yeah.
The perfect scenario for Samford, okay, is to play on a Thursday. You find out Sunday night who you play.
Good point.
You pull all the tapes Sunday night. Monday, you come out with, hey, here's kind of a game. They call all the other coaches that played against him, whatever. And then Tuesday, you fly to your site, right?
Mhm.
And Wednesday, you practice and you play Thursday. And the other part to it is this. If they win that second game, again, it's personnel dependent on some level. That second game's really hard to prep for them because very few teams play this way. Look, their style's not the same, but my brother coached for 3 years with Molly Miller at Grand Canyon. And they run and jump, but they also run and jump in the half court. And they practice turns and rotations or whatever. And the idea behind it is like, it's very, very unique. And you don't prep for it. And so in league play, oftentimes the second time around, people can prep for it and you can pick it apart a little bit. And they have to get into kind of standard man-to-man. But pressuring, especially when you have rim protection, just not a lot of people play that way anymore. They just don't. And so this might be the first or one of 3 or 4 games all season where you play an undersized team that pressures and forces you to a rim protector. For Samford, this is going to be like their 35th game where they play this way. So, I think it's can it? I'm not going to say will it. Again, it's going to be personnel dependent. But there's a lot of these high major teams that, I mean, look, they're not going to play Illinois in the first game.
Guys, how about this? In our latest bracket, which dropped literally 6 hours ago, Samford is a 13th seed. You want to know who the 4 teams on the 4 seed line are?
Yes, go hit me.
Auburn, Illinois, Kentucky, and Alabama. Any one of those against Samford would be an absolutely electric basketball game and would be one of those ones where it's like, I cannot wait to see what we have here. That game, the total might end up being like 230 points. It might end up being an NBA total when BetMGM puts it out. But listen, Jeff Goodman was able to catch up.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Well, no, Goodman was able to catch up with Bucky McMillan at the SoCon title game down there in Asheville. Let's hear from that now. Did I say Bucky McMillan? Yeah, Bucky McMillan down there with Jeffy Goodman.
All right, Bucky, 4 years ago, you were a damn high school coach. You're a high school coach. Now you got these around your neck. You're going to the NCAA tournament. Give me your emotions.
It's unreal, but what makes it really special is that all these players that came here years ago had to put their hands in a coach that's never coached a day in college as a head coach or an assistant when Samford was a bottom 30 team in the country. And some of these players, we said that we would do this before they graduated. And on their last game in the SoCon, they did it. That's amazing, man.
It wasn't pretty, but you got the win. You were coaching right till the final seconds. Some of your team, your players are celebrating already. You didn't. What was this like for you, again, this whole road of the last 4 years, building this thing and watching people are in tears coming up to you right now?
It's surreal. The game, I wouldn't want it any other way. We talked about it before the game. I said it to somebody. I said, this is about to be a war. And one of my guys said, that's what we do. That's what we do, and that's what they do. They have soldiers, we have soldiers. That was a war. Sometimes basketball, not made to be pretty. It's made to see people's hearts. And you saw all those players out there, man, whether you know basketball or not, you saw their hearts. And those players out there, those guys over there celebrating, I saw their hearts for 3 or 4 years before this ever happened, man.
All right, you and I made a deal when you got hired. You remember what the deal was?
Slightly.
All right, the deal was I couldn't write or talk about your poker background until you got to the NCAA tournament. That's what you told me. I waited. I waited 4 years. Here we are. Tell me a little bit. Nobody knows this really. Professional poker player.
I can't say professional poker player or not. What I'll say is I went into the World Series. I did well. A lot of people have stories when they were younger playing poker. Most of them, it's kind of like chess. We know how it is. Most of those stories don't end very well, so there's not much of a story. My story was talked about because I was dominating in it. I was doing very well. And that's why that got out there, you know. But I'll tell you this, there's some things I learned in that. Basically, you got to make the right play over and over and over again, and that pays off to good results. Guess what? You carry that to basketball. Maybe one time you foul up 3 and you lose. But guess what? I'm going to tell you, over time, you're going to win a lot more than you lose. So I've learned a lot from both sides of it.
Well, listen, congrats. Enjoy the next, what do you got, about 6 days to enjoy yourself before you find out who you're playing?
Till Sunday. Selection Sunday, man. I've watched it every year of my life since I can remember. It's going to be fun when they call the Samford Bulldogs out and see where we're going.
Well, listen, it was great being here for this. It was great coming down. Unbelievable atmosphere. Your team is fun to watch. Your style is fun to watch. And honestly, one of the best stories in college basketball this year, going from a high school coach, Martin Newton, taking a chance on your ass, right? Took a chance on you.
That's one guy that I think that people got to really understand this. Samford had not been very successful in basketball well before Coach Newton got there, right? They had some good coaches, just had some down years, right? And obviously, they want to be a basketball school. His job's on the line. So what does he roll with? He rolled with his gut and hires a high school guy because he felt this was supposed to happen. I told Martin after the game, I pulled him over. Just like his father, who was on the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. He's not here with us, but I'm sure he's watching down on this. And I asked him, I said, man, you had to make that hire, and we won 3 championships in 2 years. What you think he's thinking looking down on this right now? You think he'd be proud of his son? The courage that takes? Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
All right, congrats. Great seeing you, and enjoy. Have a good night. Don't stay out too late.
Oh, we were going to stay out really late.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are now partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the conference and NCAA tournament. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150, and you'll get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not that bet hits. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game, and you get $150 in free bets regardless of the outcome. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, and what I love the most, a nice little parlay boost, as well as a ridiculous array of prop bets for anything that you could possibly imagine betting on in March and in early April. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use Field150 as the code, and sign up today. And while I've got you here, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get here for absolutely free is to engage with it. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to our show. Well, welcome back to the Monday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. We just heard from Mark Byington, who punched a ticket to the dance with James Madison, and we heard from Bucky McMillan, who punched a ticket to the dance with Samford. It means we currently have 6 teams that are in the NCAA tournament as it currently stands. It's always fun to watch these smaller conference tournaments and these teams punch their bids and see everybody celebrating. And I'll say it before, or I said it before, I'll say it again. Get Indiana State in the dance. Get them there. Let's get them in that large. Gentlemen, speaking of teams that are going to be in the dance, Kansas found out today, well, at least Bill Self said today, that Kevin McCullough, who's got a bone bruise in his knee, and Hunter Dickinson, who is battling some kind of shoulder injury. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I don't know if they've put anything out about it, but neither of them are going to be available in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. T.O., how bad is this for the Jayhawks? And is this the smart move that you want to try to get them back for the big dance, the one that matters?
Yeah, I think so. Dickinson was a dislocated shoulder, was it not? I saw him jogging off the floor holding his shoulder. It looked like it was out. But, yeah, I mean, guys, what's the – Kansas knows they're not going to win the league this year. I'm sorry. With or without those guys, Houston's going to win that. And here's another thing, too. We all understand that some of these places, like a Kansas, like a North Carolina, do they love their conference tournaments? No. I mean, we've heard Tyler Hansbrough say that saying. He said, I just get rid of all of it. We've heard Roy Williams say the same thing. And I say those two because I live in the Carolinas. So it kind of makes sense that way that I would bring up those guys. But all of that being said, the point remains the same, whether it's the ACC or the Big 12. Kansas doesn't necessarily care all that much about the conference tournament. They care more about what happens next week, and understandably so. If they're able to get those two guys back, they're a second weekend team. I just don't know that there's enough depth there. We've said the same thing all season long. Sometimes it's easier to diagnose the problems early. And I think with Kansas, we figured out early that they just don't have enough guys. So you better get your best guys healthy as you can get them for the NCAA tournament, knowing that they would be playing at 60-70% if they play the Big 12 tournament anyway. And you would risk further injury. So I think it's a good move. I think it's a downer. If you're a Jayhawk fan, they're not going to win the league. But I don't know that they would have it anyway because of Jamal Shedd and Houston, what they're doing down there.
Mm-hmm. Doug, you got anything to add?
A lot to add. I disagree with the North Carolina snobby, we don't like our conference tournament bullshit, right? Duke wins that tournament all the time. They seem to care. Like no one's ever not cared about a tournament that they won. And I understand, like, again, if you're at Duke and Carolina, there is a little bit of a letdown where you guys play that last game of the year against your arch rival, and then now we got to go play everybody else. But Kansas, they care. This one really kind of hurts, honestly, Kansas City and the tournament because, I-State, K-State, KU, they bring a ton of people, and they can't do it this year. But what's interesting is, last year their run came to an end a little bit unceremoniously. Wasn't a perfect team, but a lot of it was Bill wasn't healthy. Bill didn't coach in the tournament. And he didn't coach in the Big 12 tournament, if I remember correctly, either. And they're not the same. And if they don't have those guys, they won't be the same. Now, if they have McCullough and the big fella, they'll be fine the first weekend. Still, I agree with you in terms of depth. It's not a perfect team. Timberlake has never been who they thought he could be at that level. And obviously, having to jettison Arterio Morris hurt them. How good he was, he could shoot. It hurt them substantially. Those two things, right? The overvalue of Arterio of Nick Timberlake and Arterio Morris never playing a game, getting kicked off, really hurt this team. But they're still coached by Bill Self. They still have a 7-foot-plus center who can score. They still have a point guard who started and led him back in a national championship game. Kevin McCullough is big time. Still a good team. And I think what I'm most interested in is, like, how does the committee address this? Because, again, let's use the Boeheim example. 2 times he didn't have, who was the first one? Not Fab Melo. Who was the other big guy he had who didn't play in the tournament? I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Arinze Onuaku in 20.
Booyah.
It was 2009. Arinze Onuaku.
Damn.
Tio, how good is he? How good is our guy?
That's pretty good.
That was really good.
Pretty good.
That was really good. Really good. There was no Googling. There was no nothing. That was a strong pull.
Nailed it. Hey, don't
Look
question
how proud he is, Doug. Look how proud he is.
I listen
on my Big East tournament knowledge.
Hey, listen. Don't hurt yourself. Pat yourself on the back. I gave you love for it.
I did. Hey, look, I threw up my back earlier today trying to get the laundry from the washing machine into the dryer. So it's already a bad day. It's already a bad day over here.
Fair enough. The point is that if you remember back, like Boeheim would never say these guys aren't playing the tournament. They just, and they ruled Fab Melo out like right before the tournament. But I think the selection had already come out. And Arinze Onuaku was like, oh, he'll play next game. Like, nah, he wasn't playing ever. So I don't know what you do with them seed-wise, right? Because is Kevin McCullough playing? Is he not playing? If he's not playing, like, they're not very good. Big guy's gonna play. He separated his right shoulder. It's like a week and a half off. I think he'll be fine. But McCullough, it's a bone bruise in his knee. I have no idea what that looks like.
He'll play just because he's played games during this stretch, right? He's not going to be himself, but he'll suit up. This is just like the perfect opportunity to get him rest, especially if you know Dickinson's not going to be there. This is ironic because we put out our All-American teams today from the field of 68, and we had Kevin McCullough as a second-team All-American, and we had Hunter Dickinson as a third-team All-American. I'm going to roll through them here, and I want you guys to tell me what's crazy, what's good, what's bad, what's dumb, and where you think it's laughable. I want you to just tear them to shreds, okay? Our first-team All-Americans, I think there are 4 that you can not argue. R.J. Davis, Jamal Shedd, Dalton Connect, and Zach Edey, I think have to be on everybody's first-team All-American team. We went with Tristan Newton. There were probably a half dozen other guys that could have been that 5th player on that first-team All-American team. I went with the guy that's averaging 16, 7, and 6 on what may be the best team in college basketball. Our second team All-Americans, Tyler Kolek, Mark Sears, Baylor Shireman, Kevin McCullough, and Jaden Ledee at San Diego State. And our third team All-Americans, Caleb Love, Reed Shepard, Deron Holmes, Janai Broom, and the big fella, Hunter Dickinson. Doug, you look very skeptical over there.
I'm processing here. I'm processing who you missed. That's the thing, right? Because you went through.
Is there
15
anything?
names.
What about first team? Would you put anybody over Tristan Newton?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that you could sit there and pick apart. Like, so in order to make it on that list, right? Yeah, your team has to have won something. Has to be good, right? So you have Jamal Shedd at point guard. I'm not going to dispute that one. Am I sure that he's the best point guard in the country? Like, no, I could argue Kolek has been better, but Kolek's been hurt some. And his team didn't win his league, and they're not. Houston might be the number 1 overall seed, so I'm not going to pick that one apart. The one guy who I'm going to struggle with this, and I know he didn't play well Saturday, is are we undervaluing Caleb Love in the season he's had in any way? That's more question mark. I'll give you another guy who's had a great year. Great is Mark Sears at Alabama. Big time here. And they're legit good. Now, are they great? They've lost 10 games. They're not as good on the road. Oh, okay. Like, we can pick them apart on what we don't like. He's been really, really, really good. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I like. So give me your first team again.
Tristan Newton was the 5th guy with R.J. Davis, Jamal Shedd, Dalton Connect, and Zach Edey. Getting the guards is incredibly difficult because there are so many good guards in college basketball this year, right? I have 4 guards on the first team and 4 guards on the second team. And Caleb Love, like, if you want to tell me that you would have him as the 5th guy on the first team All-American team, I probably wouldn't argue against it that strongly, right? And I didn't even mention
where are you on Terrence Shannon? Where are you on Terrence Shannon?
If anyone wants to make the argument to put him on any of these teams, it would be very hard for me to argue against it. Like, he's been awesome. He's been the best player on the top 10 team.
Yeah, I
mean, good. Again,
I like Tristan Newton too. So I mean, I know you said tear it to shreds. What is?
I'll tear one to shreds. I'll tear one to shreds. You got 2 guys from Kansas on there, and Kansas was wildly mediocre this year. Do they deserve to have 2 All-Americans? The guy that I would replace, I would get rid of Dickinson, and I would put Cam Spencer on that third team.
I don't hate it.
I think he's been. What? I think he's been that good. Yeah. Hold on. 14.9 points a game, 50, 46, 92, a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. The only player in the history of college basketball to do that. Not only that, he's
tremendous. But like, how are we? I mean, Hunter Dickinson is averaging 18 and 10. I don't know. I would probably replace. But like, it's his fault that they have 4 good players.
There's other guys averaging 18 points a game in that league too. Like, why don't we just throw them in there? That's kind of my only counter. Like they're just okay this year, and you're going to have 2 players on first and third team or second and third team All-American. I just feel like there's other guys there's other guys at least deserving. And I feel like Cam Johnson, I feel like people overlooked him a little bit just because of the type of year that he had. And Tristan Newton, he's had triple doubles. He's been great. But I just feel like Cam Johnson, his toughness, some of the just does winning plays.
Cam Spencer.
Yeah. Sorry. Cam Spencer. I'm sorry. But all those numbers that I just mentioned, like, those are asinine. good. I don't even know what I said. What did I say?
Plus, one of the all-time great shit talkers, right? Like
Oh,
he's
great shit talker. Throw him on
Great
13.
shit
Throw him
talker.
on 13. Shit talker.
I will put the shit talking team, like, great shit talker. Massive amount of respect. Because, like, here's the other part to it. You can talk all that shit, but you gotta talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. And that dude's walked the walk. I think you actually sold me. I think I may be coming around to the Cam Spencer thing.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's just say
I hate guys that talk shit that can't play. There's nothing worse than dudes that can't talk shit that can't play. That dude talks shit and he can
I'm
hoop.
being justified because I had Dan Hurley, Coach of the Year. I had Tristan Newton, First Team All-American. I had other players involved in some of these other awards, and it got shot down by Goodman because he said I was a homer. I'm just glad that you guys got my back on this one. Listen,
you can be a homer, you can be right.
It's Overreaction Monday coming up next. By now, you guys have surely heard about Autograph, an app founded by Tom Brady with the intention of disrupting the way that fans consume content covering their favorite teams. This is how the app works. All of the podcasters, bloggers, and digital creators covering a team have their content sent to that team's page in the Autograph app. Instead of having to bounce from site to site or trying to navigate the safer workspaces on Twitter, you can just scroll through Autograph. This isn't a hard sell. This is the truth. I am a UConn fan, and I use the Autograph app to keep up with the writers I read and the pods that I listen to about UConn basketball. The best part is that every piece of content that you consume gives you reward points. The more you get, the more chances you have at things like discounted tickets to games and the grand prize, a trip to the LA Regional and a spot in a suite for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. Here's the best part. We've partnered with Autograph to donate $1 to the V Foundation every time someone downloads the app using the code F68, with a minimum of $2,500 getting donated. The app is free. So download, use the code F68, help us raise a little bit of money for cancer research, and give Autograph a try. I promise you it will be worth it. And while we're here, a quick reminder, make sure that you subscribe to the Daily. We have new landing pages with deep dives into each coaching change, as well as a tracker that provides scouting reports on the transfers that have entered the portal that you are going to want to know about. Hit the link below to subscribe. Well, welcome back to the Monday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, Doug Gottlieb, Terrence Oglesby, who has had a change of outfit over here, which is throwing me off here for a second. We lost the fleece. He's not here. He's a little sweaty. It's actually
I got a little too pumped up when I convinced Doug. Of a different guy for his All-American team. I got me fired up. And
I will point out he's also. Are you sitting in like a video game? Is that like a video game chair? Is that what that is?
Yeah, my brother got this for me.
Those are great. Those are good.
Yeah,
my son wants that so bad. He's like, Dad,
years.
can I get a video game chair? I'm like, you need a chair to play a video game?
It's amazing. This thing doesn't even have a crease in it. I've had it for 4 years. And I
when T.O.'s not on After Dark, all he does is sit there and he plays Call of Duty and Fortnite. That's literally his career. People don't realize this. He's got a side hustle that is he's actually ninja for the people that don't pay attention. All right, listen, this is Overreaction Monday. I got some overreactions that I got to fire at you. T.O., I'm going to you first on this one because you are the definitive anti-ACC guy these days. North Carolina should be and will be the fourth number 1 seed on Selection Sunday when that bracket gets unveiled.
Oh, man, don't do that to me. My only counter to that is I just feel like Tennessee it has been that team, and it's hard for me to say no.
If only we saw them on the same floor. If only we saw North Carolina on the same floor with Tennessee.
I know. There's just been a lot going on since then. Good call. No, you know what? North Carolina, they went out. I think they do get it. You guys have Tennessee on that as that fourth number 1 right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see how North Carolina doesn't get that 1 seed if they win the ACC tournament. I feel like you have to put them there.
Doug?
I agree. I think they're the fourth 1 seed. You know, listen, do I think Tennessee has a chance to go to a Final Four? I do. We talked about this on the Saturday night show. Like, they won at South Carolina, they won at Kentucky, they won at Alabama. Alabama's a hard place to win. Play a top schedule, got a big time score. They can defend. But I mean, like, okay, Carolina just won at Duke and they beat Tennessee. They've been solid, consistent. The Ken Palm numbers are there. We have, here's a big problem we have as college basketball analysts and fans is what we do is we assess that if a league is down, the elite teams, well, they must also be down. That's not the way it works. Okay, there's all different types of, like, the Big 12 is a far better league than the ACC. But I think we'd all be stunned. Like, at full strength, Kansas, probably not, but maybe Houston. But outside of that, no one else from the Big 12 is going to the Final Four. I love Iowa State. I don't think that's a Final Four team. I don't think they have a close ACC. I mean, they got 2 with a possible in terms of getting into the tournament. But I could see Duke making a run. And I think North Carolina is probably outside of the top 3. They're in that conversation with Tennessee is the most likely to go to a Final Four. So the ACC is down, but that doesn't take away from North Carolina, right? They're big time. So I think that's one of the problems we do. The SEC, I think, is going to have a great tournament because they got really good. They got more dudes than most people, right? They spend more money, they got more dudes, and they have good coaches. I think they're going to have a really good tournament. But I would still say that
T.O., you got to fire back at that one. You got to fire back at that one. T.O.'s not a fan of the SEC tournament. He's anti-Nashville.
Not the SEC tournament. He's talking about the NCAA.
Not the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
The one that matters.
It's hard for me to find a hole in that one because I feel like the SEC, by and large, is just they're bigger, they're more athletic than a lot of leagues, period. Point blank, period. They spend a ton of money and the coaching's good, and they let their guys go just enough. It's run differently. The SEC tournament, not all that intrigued, truth be told. However, I do think North Carolina, that fourth number 1, completely in play. What Hubert's done with that defense, guys, I remember back when I played, North Carolina's forcing turnovers. They're running quick. They're just, if you do score, they don't care. They're out and running. 5th defense in the country, according to Ken Palm. And here's the crazy part about that stat. They're 306 in forcing turnovers. They're not playing the same. They're playing position defense, and Hubert's done a freaking great job of adjusting to the modern game, and he fit those pieces around RJ and Baycott so much better this year. Hubert, obviously, Coach of the Year in the ACC. He needs consideration for National Coach of the Year, but he's not going to win that one, obviously, but he needs to be brought in that ilk. I think he's had a great year.
And look, Rob, maybe this is not the forum. It's when we have more time, but I agree with you. And again, they're great defensively. And it's not like they have dudes that climb up India. They don't have some crazy rim protector back there either. And it's not like Duke where they're not doing the feigning goat defense of old Duke days taking charges, right? They just have older dudes that read the scatter report, are connected, work together. Okay, the guys who come off the bench, they know, come in, I got a guard. Like Seth Trimble comes in, he's like, I got a guard. They bring some length and athleticism off the bench. It's a really good defensive team, and I don't think they have great defensive players. Like, they don't have anybody like, well, that guy's he's a glove, he's a lockup guy, no rim protection. Like, Cadeau's good. He's a good little tough, hard-nosed, kind of old school. He's like Ed Cota, Ty Lawson, pass first point guard, of older days. And he guards, but it's not like he's 94 feet, he's up in you, and he's harassed you. What was the kid? Why am I forgetting the name? At Virginia, seemed like he was there forever. He won national championship. Kihei Clark. Right? It's not like he's Kihei Clark. Right? There's no one guy you're like, man, that guy's a problem. They just, part of having older players that have been well coached is they know whatever my rules are defensively, if I just play to those rules, I'll be all right. Whereas, young guys, they're like, no, I can do my own thing. No, just do what we tell you to do. It all works out. So you got old-ass Cormac Ryan. Harrison Ingram's been really well coached and just very, very solid. And I think Armando Baycott has improved his defensively. Now you have a true point guard who defends the ball with pressure. And they even got RJ playing some defense as well. And then they bring good defense off the bench. I'm with you, T.O. Like, the secret to Carolina is, unlike any of those Coach Roy Williams teams, they wouldn't play any defense till March. And then somehow he'd convince them, let's play a little defense, we can win a national championship. This team has defended the whole year, and it's the offense that I think has been a little bit more sporadic, but it's come around nicely of late.
Yeah, they are very good. We talked about this on Saturday, so I won't go into length on it, but they are very good at understanding what their job is and accepting what their job is and realizing that if they do their job, they're going to find a way to win. And that's on the offensive end of the floor. That's on the defensive end of the floor. And I think that we saw the contrast between them and accepting the roles that they had versus Duke on Saturday night, and Duke having guys that were all kind of figuring out, like, am I the go-to guy? Am I going to try to get some stops? Like, do we have anybody inside that can make a difference? I think you could really see that off of what happened on Saturday night. Listen, we have two more overreactions that I'm going to get to on the other side of the break. One of them involves UConn. The other one involves the top of the SEC, which T.O. hates. That's coming up next. There is nothing better in sports than tournament time, which is why I need to tell you guys about our partners over at Rhythm. If you're into sports betting, you need Rhythm, the place for data-backed props and picks. For those that are unfamiliar, Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, is the go-to mobile app for player props and game picks. Backed by AI predictive models, Rhythm helps you make smarter and faster betting decisions across all sports, but particularly college basketball. With Rhythm, you get data-backed picks for every single Division I game every single day. Users get free picks daily with the ability to upgrade to unlimited access. If you want to increase your edge and win more bets, go to the link in the description and download Rhythm today. That's RITHMM, the place for data-backed props and picks. And while we're here, let me tell you about our newest partner for the month of March, Splash Sports, the home of certified community competition, where you get to play against your friends and not the house. Whatever game it is that you are playing, from survivors to tiers to pick X, the safest way to play for real money without the hassle of having to track down deposits or worry about payments is through Splash. They have partnered with PaySafe, the best deposit and payment system in the world, to ensure that money stays in safe hands and is delivered to the right places. To join the Field of 68 Survivor Madness, click the link in our profile below and join in. Entries are $5 a pop with a prize pool of up to $4,500. Winner take all. Join Splash and come prove that you're smarter than us. Well, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It is Monday evening. We are live. We punched 2 tickets tonight, and I have 2 overreactions that I got to get to these guys. We'll try to roll through them pretty quickly. We're going to start with this one because it's my favorite one, and Trevor put this one together. This is all Trevor. This was not me at all. It was our producer, Trevor. If you have anything that sets you at all, send your angry tweets to him. T.O., UConn should leave the Big East solely so that they actually get challenged on the court.
Shut the hell up. Next question. That's ridiculous. The Big East was better for UConn. It was better for UConn. UConn was for the Big East. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go that strong. But wasn't last year?
Look how bad they went when they went to the American. We're playing their conference championships in Fort Worth, Texas. That dropped off in a hurry. You couldn't get the same kids.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, totally. And not just that, but like, why would you go to a game at Gamble when they're playing East Carolina or Tulane?
Yeah.
Or Wichita? Like, no thanks.
Yeah. So you would buy them going to the Big 12? Because obviously that's not going to happen now, but there were whispers of UConn. There was whispers of that happening.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Season. You would buy that?
I mean, yes.
I'd be miserable. I hope that never.
For the record, don't do it. This was tongue in cheek. I was making fun of it.
No. Like, look, what the Big East should do is they should go get Syracuse for basketball. If they have Syracuse, you got to have the Garden has to have Syracuse and UConn and St. John's and Nova. Like, those are Providence is fine or whatever. Seton Hall, good. But you got to get Syracuse back in the same league as UConn. Too good.
Yep.
Too good a rival.
Yep. Agreed.
And too important to the Garden.
It's neither here nor there for this conversation, but they need to just allow football to split away from basketball. Let basketball do our thing, right? We don't need any football messing everything up. All right. The next overreaction is that Kentucky is officially the best team in the SEC because Tennessee's not going to go anywhere if they don't get 40 plus from Dalton Connect. It's a two-parter, Doug.
The best team in the SEC for the NCAA tournament?
For just point blank period.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Sure, why not? They just beat Tennessee at Tennessee, and Dalton Connect did have 40, and they still beat them. So yeah, I'm good with that. I've been all in on Kentucky. I've been Bucky McMillan the whole time. I've been all in for like a month and a half now. So I so badly want them to go on a tournament run and John Calipari to just give everybody the middle finger, while he's doing it. Because everybody said, because there was a lot of people like, oh, he's done. It's over. He's going to retire or whatever.
That was me.
How you said? Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's too old. He can never adjust to this. He's a dinosaur. He can't adapt.
I think he got ahead of it early, man. The power's about to go back to the freshmen. As soon as this COVID year stuff, I feel like these super talented freshmen are going to be really good again. I understand the portal and all that stuff.
I'm not going to go that far because I agree with you. It's going to change some, but the other thing that can help them is if a G League Ignite goes away and all the kids go back to college, then yeah. The problem that was killing them isn't the portal and the COVID year. The problem is that, on any given year, you're losing 2 or 3 kids overseas, 2 or 3 kids to the Ignite. And then if you don't get Cooper Flagg, who they didn't get, you're getting secondary level, top 25 kids that can't compete against older guys. It's really, really hard. So I don't think it'll ever go all the way back to where you can win big with freshmen. But again, he doesn't have all freshmen this year. He also has a really, really special couple of freshmen, and you don't always get those, because like had he just gotten DJ Wagner, they'd probably be screwed right now, So I do like that he's a competitive dude. He wasn't going out like that, and I think this probably reinvigorated him because it's a much more fun way to coach and seems like a fun group to coach.
You know what else it is though? If they were still, we talked about this a little bit on Saturday, Doug, and I'm curious, T.O., your take. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, all John Calipari did offensively was walk the ball up, throw the ball in the post, and then run whatever his best scoring guard was off of that floppy action and try to get them curling to the paint or someone sprinting off to a three. And that was basically the offense that he ran, right? It was the same stuff that he was running back in like 2012 when they run like you can go back and watch the clips and Deron Lamb is running the same stuff that Tyrese Maxey was running, right? This year is completely different. Like it's not like they run a ton of stuff, but they get up and down the floor. They play a modern style.
Well,
it's like
Calipari's best teams were with 2 elite like rim attack guards or guys that can really make decisions at the lead guard spot to where he can just get out of the way. I mean, think about some of his best teams, the John Walls, the Eric Bledsoes, even that team with Anthony Davis. They had that elite rim protector, but they had the Harrison twins that could really make something happen. Like those are his best teams. Whenever he has lead guards that can really go. This year he has.
When he has better players than the opposition, he's usually very good.
That goes without saying. That goes without saying. But
I mean, the crazy part about Bledsoe and Wall is they lost to. I mean, that's the all-time shit the bed was when they lost to West Virginia, and they were like 1 of 13 or something from 3. Like you got DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, and Eric Bledsoe.
They were 4 for 32 from 3, but put some respect on Deshaun Butler's name. That was Deshaun, the original. The Field of 68 After Dark doesn't exist without Deshaun Butler hanging out with me and Fanta after the COVID tournament.
Dude,
yeah, but I say all that to say this. Yeah, he has better players than the other team, but when his best players are those lead guards. That's kind of my point. Like that's when he's at his best. I think Tennessee's still the best team. I understand they just won at Thompson Bowling Arena. I get all that. I would push back on they have to have 40 from Connect. I feel like the role that Vescovy and the role that Ziegler and all those guys are playing this year is much more suitable to what they are. That's the reason, because I think last year they made it to the Sweet 16 with the same team. And now you add this electric scorer. They have a primary scorer. Last year, they were trying to have Vescovy create stuff at the end of the clock. He can't do it. He's slower than me right now. So it's like it's hard for those things it's hard to generate real offense when that's who you're running through. Now they have Dalton Connect, who I would argue, guys, is the best on-ball scorer in college basketball. He's been electric.
Look over your left shoulder. But let's go back to the picture of T.O. over your left shoulder. Look at you abusing Greg Paulus. Okay, just going by Greg Paulus.
I interviewed Greg earlier. He's like, "Is that me?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's you right there." My dad had that frame.
Going by him. Got him on his hip,
Hey,
put him in jail.
that's a good scouting report right there by our guy GP. He maybe put it on the floor.
No, but like, listen, no, this is a real thing though with like Greg Paulus and this guy. Let me bring it back full circle. Okay, what was the downfall of Greg Paulus at Duke? They tried to have Greg Paulus get up and pressure like all those other Duke point guards, and he can't do that. And he was a good player. If he played in a pack line, or he played like when Duke won in 2010, they played pack line defense. Right? They just did. They were solid. They were physical. They changed the way they played. Now, fast forward to the Kentucky discussion, right? If he was running the same old crap, same old floppy, this team can't do it. You know, they changed some of they're running ball screens down the sideline, right? There's kind of a modern look. He's embraced. Not just anybody can say, well, we embrace the 3-point shot, but the ways in which they're getting threes is much more of a modern style of basketball. Not running the dribble drive. Remember, he went through the dribble drive stuff at Memphis and early on at North Carolina. Then he went to floppy. And I'm not saying he mailed it in, but I think it's a challenge to teach guys how to play in such a short period of time. When they're young, you kind of teach them how to play. So you give them a general framework. Well, first of all, Reed Sheppard mentally is way ahead of most freshmen. Yeah. He does have some veterans on this team. He really does. And then, you know, you got a guy who comes off the bench that you don't have to run anything for. Just spread out and go, and he's just Energizer Bunny to go score points. But I really think that you can go – he could have gone the way of Saban. He could have gone the way of Roy Williams and all these other guys and just say, F it, I'm out. I've made a lot of money. I've won national titles. I don't need it. Instead, a little bit of a personal renaissance. And I think if you're Calipari, who believe it or not, I think he's a very good game coach in terms of if you watch him during a game, he's yelling and screaming and stomping his foot, but he's processing as well and adjusting. I think he's a dangerous tournament coach. There's things that he misses because he doesn't, I don't think, depend on his staff. This staff he depends on more than the previous one. I think that also needed to change. But I think they're the most dangerous. And again, like I like Rick Barnes a great deal. And Rick Barnes, you talk about who's the best players. When he's had a run in the NCAA tournament, it's always been when he's had an NBA point guard, right? Yep. DJ Ford, DJ Augustine, that's his best runs when he's at Texas. And Ziegler, I don't know if he's at that level. He's been a little inconsistent. And you mentioned Muscovy, he was bad Saturday. He's just not good Saturday. He has to make some shots. So I'm going to go with Kentucky because of Calipari's tournament success, because of the depth of dudes that they have, the style they're playing, and there's some flaws, obviously, to Tennessee. But I like Tennessee. I'm just in love with Kentucky.
One last thing. There's a lot of teams that can keep a game in the 50s. There's not a lot of teams that can score 120 points. That's kind of where, like, I've held steady on Kentucky all season because of that one thing. And I'm going to let you close out the show because I'm tired of Trevor yelling at me.
Listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live every night at 11 o'clock, and there you can see Terrence Oglesby, who still had hair in his picture, blowing by Greg Paulus. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night at 11 p.m. We're heading to New York City, Madison Square Garden.